I no longer make career decisions based on money.
Yeah.
I make career decisions based on how passionate I am about it, and basically enjoying what I do. There's the family side of it, which is really importantly for me, but those two drive that, which is trying to have a much better kind of work-life balance type thing. But it was just to kind of get your take on some of those things, really, because in the world I'm in at the moment, it's generally done in the same way, and I'm trying to change that and sort of take all my experience, the different people I've worked for, things I did wrong as a manager and the things I have done wrong as a manager.
Yeah.
But just sort of trying to get a view on how you do it, really, because you built it up from what, there's a few of you.
Yeah.
What, you're 31 now, and then.
Yeah. My driver for this was my previous role, which was shit. The culture there was just horrific. Yeah. Really high staff turnover. Yeah. Staff turnover there was just mental. For the size of business it was, similar to the size of what we are now.
Yeah.
And it would turn over like at least 2 people every sort of like 3 a month. Really? And I'm like, that is insane. Yeah. There'd be a core of people that 6 or 7 that are there.
10% a month.
Mental.
So you're pretty much changing your workforce every year, right?
Yeah. Wow. Honestly, there was a core of 6 or 7 people. Everyone else would change it. It was bizarre. And I was there for 9 years, and that culture was built by like a real massive gap between the team and then like senior teams or management. Yeah. And I just swore that I would never be part of that environment again, and that if we were going to do this, it would be different. I think the 2 things I always track are like, it's exactly the same to you, just a different way. It's like happiness, fulfillment, they're the 2. And if you haven't got those 2 things, you have to have both. Then it won't work wherever you're going to be. Do you know what I mean? So always try and like work back from that. The happiness bit is, I guess, just thinking about what other things that, it's the convenience things for me. Like, what other things that you really need in order to like, I always think of it, so like, I used to have that like feeling of dread on a Sunday night. So I'm like, if you can get rid of that feeling on Sunday evening and the Monday morning feeling, that cross, then on the whole, you're winning. You're winning, yeah. And it's a good thing to track, almost, of like...
Couldn't agree more with you.
Because that for me is like, if you've got that feeling, there's something wrong, and if you haven't got it and you don't notice it, then on the whole, it's all right. You've got to be, it's that 80-20 thing, isn't it? Of like, you probably got 80% of it okay in wherever, and that's, I don't mean from like...
You personally, that's, you want to help your guys.
I want everyone else to be feeling that. I want everyone to be, not have that feeling. That's the like an overall sort of driver of life. If no one's got that, then we're winning. I always track, like, and I want to do it cross company wide, is like the happiness tracker, like a weekly thing. So like, one for, it's good as an overall thing to track as a business. You can see that as an average score, which is just a good thing to track.
You're essentially applying like the NPS model, but for your internal team.
Yes.
Net promoter score.
Yeah, exactly. But then also it's a good signalling thing.
Yeah.
That if you start seeing in individuals that it's low, then you can start seeing that as a signal and then trying to approach that as, I think.
So yeah, I like that as an idea, as in, that's not just because what we do, everyone does sort of engagement surveys, but they're done once a year, and
they're pointless.
Like, well, actually,
and depending on what time they're done, and unless they're anonymous, things like that, it's like, but I think it gets people into it's one of those things. Do you ever sit down and go like, am I happy?
All the fucking time, literally all the time. Personally.
Do you? Yeah. See, I don't think a lot of people do that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, maybe you're right.
Do you sit and score it?
No.
So what's the measurement of it? It's a thing that really, unless someone was to go like, I'll go, Mike, what today, which I'm actually going to ask you now.
I'm going to cry.
Out of 10, how happy are you?
Yeah, well.
On a scale of 1 to 10?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. Oh, well, I'd come up with a number, wouldn't I? But then it'd be a case of, how am I coming up with that number?
And
1 to 1, 1 to 10.
Exactly, and you only know that from consistency of tracking it over, X amount of weeks or months or whatever, and getting into the routine of doing it, and then going, and having something to refer back to. So like, last week I was a 7. I was a 7. Oh, I wrote this with it. Yeah. I feel better than that this week because that isn't there, or I feel worse than that this week because it's even worse. Yeah. At least you can start then measuring that. Yeah. So I'd like, that is a good thing to start getting into them. Yeah, one, because I think from your team's point of view, your team will start going, Mike cares about whether we're happy or not, and it's a like a KPI, but it's a metric we track as a team of.
So do you mean that from a perspective of actually sitting down and doing that with them?
No, I think it can be an automated.
Yeah. No, yeah, okay, but something that you would have visibility of the output, let's say.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I think you need to really. One, from the signalling point of view, because I think that's a good way of being able to do that. But two, I think if you're gonna like measure it, I would do that. I only do that in the senior meetings at the minute, but it's something I want to rock out to the.
It'd be difficult for you
the
to
whole
manage
thing.
That 31 times, right?
Oh yeah, and obviously.
But it's bad.
I mean,
getting team managers.
The team managers would manage it and.
Yeah. Yeah, right. That's a really good idea. Yeah.
How else, culture-wise? So.
I guess the other things is the side of it is what do you do within the workplace just to make it a good place to work. That's a really useful thing actually in terms of measurement of, because you can measurement people's happiness is going to cover working from the tools, their specific role. It's going to look at career growth as one aspect for certain people. But what sort of things do you do around to just, the last thing you want at work is to come in and do the same thing every single day. There's things like, we do things like, just silly things like, I'll take my team for breakfast.
Yeah.
In our face-to-face one-to-ones, take them a breakfast or take them out of the environment and do something. It's not a big expense, but it's just.
Yeah, so I do that with my one-to-ones. I always do. No, and we've got the room across there where everyone does them, but I do my one-to-ones at Costa because I'm like, let's just get a coffee and we'll have something to eat and then we can chat through what's what. Now, as the business grows and when we get to the ideal location we're at, we'll be able to offer far more than Costa. We'll have it in term, within the business, but we had or you take it wherever you want to take it. I think within here. What do we do within here? So, I mean, okay, so like, we start every week with a company quiz. So like, rather than the weekly meeting being like straight into like, let's do business, there's a 5-question quiz that everyone takes part of. Kay, does it each week. Yeah. She has a little prize for the winner. Now, it's, the expense to the business is like a couple of quid. Do you know what I mean? But the engagement you get from that of people, it's a better way to start the week than straight into anything else. Do you know what I mean?
Like we've created, and it's my boss and the team that I'm part of, so who I report into, where we've got branded mugs. I don't mean company branded mugs. I mean like flying, pooping, rainbow pooping unicorn mugs.
Nice.
And just getting people one of them when they join and having it on their desk at day one. Cost to us as a
so like we do a similar things. So like on day one, you have one of the toolboxes there that's flat packed that you've got to do yourself. So it's the first thing you've got to build is that. Obviously, like your laptop, you have 2 on the tools hoodies which have been ordered already, these sizes. Yeah. You have a mug with your name on it with the on the tools logo on the other side. Because again, it's that one of those things I think is that when people start within a business, it's the whole first impression thing, isn't it? You want people to think that you've actually thought about when they're starting, and it's not like, oh shit, this hasn't come yet. So and don't get me wrong, we fucked it up loads. Where I've been building people's desks on the morning and they've come in. Do you know what I mean? I'm not sorry, you've not ready, or didn't get delivered, or.
It's back to the point of you learning.
And we've got to get better at this. This is not a way I want people to start within. I want people to start within the business with knowing that they're coming into something where they're fully prepared for. Do you know what I mean? And they feel welcome, and none of us are scratching around then either. It's like you can introduce people in the right way. So originally we were going to do it the way around, where we were going to have flat pack desk and everything. You got right. The first thing you do is you get your drill and you have to build your desk and build it, because I thought it fits in with the theme. But I was like, logistically it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. Could be like actually
work.
If you don't know everyone around as well, you might be like.
And we were going to do it with your buddy someone, but then I was like, but then from a time perspective in the business, it doesn't make sense to have like Kelly doing induction and someone else building a desk. I was like, let's not go that far. So we agreed on the toolbox as a little thing to.
That's
So What else do we do? We do Fat Fridays. That's one at the end of every month. We do a Fat Friday where everyone has lunch together. Whole company, tools down. I've definitely built in this year. So like last year was the first year we had a proper budget really. The first 2 years were just like, let's try and make some money and see what happens.
Okay.
We had certain targets obviously, but in terms of an expenditure point of view. But it was very much like we knew what that was going to be. Probably we'd allowed for certain things, but didn't understand how much we were going to be growing and stuff. Whereas this year it's been far more intricate, and actually all the teams have pulled back their own budgets and proposed them, and then we've gone to and fro, which has been better. But something we've definitely allowed for is more of a budget for like each team to be able to go and do their own thing as well. So like that's from like a training point of view, off-site days, team building stuff, yeah. But then like see the training is probably going to cover off the team building and certain things, but then they've all got a quarterly budget for just like team nights out.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah.
We'll do two company days.
Yeah.
We're doing a company holiday actually. We've got a target-driven company holiday.
Like a yeah. What do we call it? Can't remember what we call it, but yeah, it's sort of
like incentive-driven.
Yeah.
So if we've based it on our last year's operating profit budget target. We've now got to hit that by the halfway through this year. If we do that, then we'll just go away somewhere.
Is that everyone as well?
Yeah, like everyone. It'll be the whole company.
So that's great. So rather than it being individual, you look at your sales target.
Yeah. Well, we don't have we don't have any commission structure in the business for the commercial team for anyone. Yeah. So it's all built around company bonus. So the company bonus is based on the operating profit. Yeah. On the EBITDA, and then we have that as a performance rating on 1 to 5 based on our 1 to 1. So you can earn, individuals can earn more than each other on their company bonus, but that's based on their performance throughout the year. So
works in a very similar way to how mine would as an example.
Yeah.
So I'm not commission based, I'm bonus driven.
Yeah.
That's on how the company performs as
yeah.
well.
I just think it's so much better from a culture point of view that you've got everyone driving for that one figure rather than individuals driving for their own ones that then, particularly within a commercial team, can cause. And as well, with the way that the leads come in here, sometimes we get a lot of inbound still, so how that's distributed then is just like potluck on, it becomes really difficult.
Fair, isn't it?
Yeah. Quids in, yeah, quids in. So on a Friday when we're doing quids in, everyone stops and watches that. So it's only like a 20-minute thing, but it's, for me, it's all about everyone. In order to create the culture, you've got to get everyone's got to communicate and spend time with each other, because without that, you just don't get it. It'd be near on impossible in my view to have a culture that within the business and an environment that everyone really, really, truly feel comfortable in. You don't feel comfortable when you don't know people or you've had no interaction with them.
That'd be interesting how that will work as you grow.
100%, and it's something I always think about. I'm fearful of actually that. And that's why I'm like, well, okay, if it grows so big that, which that's the plan, and we want it to be big, that you lose that element of it, then that's why the silos of making sure that your teams really know each other is really important.
And for you, as the boss, making sure that each of those different teams, their heads have that same message. I think that's people lack that at times.
These guys have got budgets that allow them to either save up quarterly to do something big, or it's driven monthly, like on a per head basis across the whole business. That could just be monthly, they go out and have drinks, whatever it might be. But I think even more so with the team that you'll have that's like working remotely, that if you really want them to run in the same direction, you need to know each other, don't they? They need to have some connection outside of work, like forget the work thing, like just a connection of like, oh, I like him or her, that thing, do you know what I mean?
You don't want to mandate extracurricular activities.
Yeah, you must be friends with this person.
You must enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you there and you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's back to those two key points for me, is I want my guys to be happy in what they do and passionate in what they do, and I think that all helps towards it.
100%, because they need to have bonds with other. It's hard working. When you'll know this more than most, I guess, working from home a lot and stuff. That it's difficult to stay motivated, and do you know what I mean? There's skills that you have to learn to, and habits you have to learn, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? To make sure that still happens. So, I think that them, even if they only have a bond with one other of your team, that will help massively. Having none,
that's good,
and only having a bond with you won't work.
No, okay, that's good.
Because they need some, like, you're the gaffer.
Yeah.
They've got to have that person to vent to, almost. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to be happy about everything that you say all the time. So they need that other person who they can relate to and be like, oh, I don't think this, and do you know what I mean? Get another viewpoint on it, and I think that massively helps. I think, what else do we do? I think this is completely different. You won't be able to do this, I guess, but like, I did it at the end of last year, and I'm going to continue to do it. It's like, I'm not forcing people to go on walks, although I did force the whole company to go on a walk with me.
Oh, really?
At the end of the weekly meeting, I added on 10 minutes to it and was like, everyone get the coats. And they went, what? I was like, I'll meet you at the front door. And we just went on a walk. And the whole purpose of it for me was not really, it was all spending time with each other, just to promote the value of stepping away from your computer and being like, you don't, particularly for these guys, because when you're editing, and I guess Jamie can vouch for this, is that you'll sit there for hours in front of the screen, and it doesn't matter within whatever you're working on, but particularly within the creative space, you'll hit a wall, and you might not even know you're hitting it. You'll sit there and actually you'll waste time. You won't be doing your mental health any good whatsoever by just sitting there trying to. So it's like get into the habit of stepping up and going, I'm taking 10 minutes away from my computer. I'm gonna go get some fresh air. I'm gonna be constantly trying to promote that. What else?
Some really useful stuff there. That's really useful actually.
From a culture point of view, I want to the big problem I had at Leisure Leagues as well. I used to work long hours. I'd travel a lot. I'd get back at like 2 in the morning sometimes, being at leagues in the arse end of Dover. Do you know what I mean? And what made it worse, my wife at the time then hated Leisure Leagues. She didn't like the place that I work for, right? So I always try and think that step further as well, of what impact is the way that I'm delivering what we're doing having on the home life of the team. So it made it really difficult for me to justify why I was working longer hours when I didn't get certain pay rise at the time, or she would know certain things that were happening there, or do you know what I mean? Or didn't feel like I was getting the support that I needed.
You're resented, aren't you? And
the
company's resented.
And then when you try and do certain things, it's always why you don't get the support that you would probably want or need, or at that point.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Other things that can counter that. Do you know what I mean? It's always a balance, isn't it? With anything, it's always you have to do that, but the company does this, so that's great. I can let that go because of something else that's happening there. So always try and promote that. I don't really want people working past 5. If people can leave at bang on 5 o'clock, I'm like, this is always funny. At the old Leisure Leagues, it was always if people left right on the button, it'd be they must have nothing to do. And I'm like, well, no, that's what they get paid for. So do. And I think it's good to make sure that people they're doing less at home. For me, the switch off thing is so important for people's mental health again, and it's something that I've been trying to drive myself, because I always get ill when I have a holiday.
Yeah, because you
always, because I'm working at this rate that I don't let myself get ill when I'm at work. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then when I stop and I go on holiday, or I go out, I've been ill since I broke up for Christmas, pretty much. So I'm gonna start trying to work out how I can be ill. Well, that sounds ridiculous, but rather than when I start feeling shitty, rather than just working through it, I'm gonna take a day or two and go no, I'm resting.
That's a real balance that I think a lot of people who in your role really struggle with.
Yeah, because it has an effect on Cal. So my girlfriend now has me like on holidays and at Christmas, I'm a write off, and I know at some point she'll start saying, "This is shit," like, and she'll start resenting the business, and
that's back to again what you're portraying, isn't it?
It's my fault, no one else's. I mean, out of anyone within the business, I've got the choice to whether I have a day off or not. I still choose not to. And it's about trying to again like promote that through the business of being like, you know, everyone needs that.
By example,
and everyone needs that time of rest, of like really, and how you do that, I don't know, and it'll be different within your role, 100%, because you've got a different business and.
Yeah, I can do things like not being seen as the guy, because I get into work at 7:30 every morning. That's just what I get to do. But I don't want to be seen as the guy who's in at 7:30 and leaving at 7:30, and people thinking that's what they have to do. I've got to manage how I manage my diary to show them. I should be taking my holidays. My holiday allowance I'm given, I should take, and I just don't want to create. I don't want people to see me and think that's how they should act. Or if they do think that, make sure that what I'm portraying as an individual is showing the right behaviours. Because you can't write culture on a piece of paper and say, this is our culture, guys. You just create it through your own behaviours, right?
It's built from everyone involved, you know.
So I think my takeaway from that is making sure that the behaviours I want from my team I show in myself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think that, so then the link then between like the family life thing is then I start thinking, well, what's the convenience? Like, what's a massive thumbs up for family life, and for people for the partners of the people that work here to be fully on board with On the Tools, even if it means that everyone's working the bollocks off, and Monday to Friday everyone's having to put in extra hours because it's just we need it at certain points. Like Q4 for us is always just mental, like particularly from a production point of view, like really really busy. And I always think like it will be, people having back, like the lad Josh just had a baby not long, like 6-9 months. Scott's just had a baby, he's on paternity at the minute. We're getting to that realms now where the families are starting to be created within the business, and so I'm like, as soon as we can and we can afford it, I'm like, private healthcare done, because then that has a real positive effect on people that are surrounded within the business. Providing food for everyone here. Again, it's a tick of like, one, it'll probably be more healthy than what the chippy is around the corner and like Tesco's and all that sort of stuff. 2, it's a money saver. 3, it's a convenience thing of like
big tick in the box,
potentially partners not having to like, like offer food up from the night before and cook extra food, all that type of thing.
Sounds like we've got
eventually like dry cleaning, like things like that. I'm like, what's life coach? I'm like, I want a life coach to be employed by the business at some point within the next like 12 to 18 months. Give everyone the opportunity to have a session with a life coach once a month would then hopefully, from a personal perspective, be able to not. And for me, it's like it's a win-win. Everyone's happier, and absolutely productivity and performance in the business will rise because that's what happens when you've got more focus and like accountability on certain things within your life. I think there's just constantly trying to think about the happiness thing for me. That's the biggest tracker, is like, what is everyone going to be more happier for?
Sounds like we've got quite a lot of shared.
100%. Yeah.
Which is good to hear, because there's not many people I go through it with, and it's refreshing, I guess, to hear there's other people who think the same way.